Sleepover is a social occasion whereby a child leaves her home to spend the night in a friend's home. Now, this, for some people, it's a culture, a rite of passage, they say, where a child begins to assert independence and make social connections. Now, the characteristics of this sleepover is such that the children have little or no adult supervision. Most often, they get to spend the night with other children. Now, this culture is very foreign to us, but gradually it is creeping in. And these days, parents send their children off to spend the night in their friend's house. Some call it pajamas night. Some call it a sleepover. There are different names that they give to this occasion. Now the question is, why sleepover? What do our children stand to gain from this? Join me after the break. Welcome back. My name is Julie, and this is Expression. Before the break, we talked about sleepovers and how this culture is gradually creeping into our society today. I explained earlier that a child gets to leave her home or his home to spend the night in a friend's home with other children. Now, the question is, what do they stand to gain from this? Why do parents do this? Now, the benefits they say the children get is that they get to learn communication skills with their peers. Okay? At this point, they get to socialize with their friends, and of course, they improve their communication skill, no doubt about that. Another reason is that they feel by going over to sleep over with your friends, you develop some kind of independence as a child. And what else? They get new experience. They get to experience something new in a different home. And of course, the parents, it's an opportunity to be free from the children for a while. Now, but for some people, the disadvantages of a sleepover is way more than the advantages. Now, what are the disadvantages, if I may ask? Now, remember, if you send your child to a friend's place and she gets to spend the night there are certain risks that are involved. The question is, do you really know the family, your child's friend? Do you know them well enough to trust that nothing out of the ordinary would happen to your child over there? So for some people, sleepovers is dangerous because at that point, a child could be exposed to a lot of things, such as sexual harassment. Of course, you could have a sexual predator somewhere hanging around, and these children can be prone to being attacked by these predators. Some children have had their first experience of watching movies that are beyond their age. Nobody is there to supervise them. Some children have been exposed to all sorts of things like drugs and all other substances, hard drugs, and you can just name it. Some children get to learn to smoke. They've had their first smoking experience in sleepovers. Now, if you go back and you look at some of the things that these children have encountered, the question is, should we really overlook the disadvantage of sleepovers? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to criticize whether sleepovers are right or wrong. But what we're here to discuss today is for us parents to be wise. We should tell ourselves the truth about what is best for our children. Are we doing this because we want to be part of the social clique? Are we doing this? Sometimes the truth is we parents, we act on peer pressure. Because my friend's daughter is going for a sleepover, and it's going to be somehow if I don't allow my daughter to go for sleepover. Peer pressure. We parents also face it, just like our children face it too. Are we doing this because we want them to go learn something? Do they really need to go for a sleepover? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Now, we've had cases where children have been introduced to drugs. Not just introduced to drugs. Children have learned all sorts of bad habits. It's one thing for me to train my child well at home. It's another thing for me to expose my child to a family or a home that I don't know how their own children are brought up. Some children have come back from sleepovers with bad habits. And parents have noticed that their children's behavior have changed. Hello, let us stop, take a break, and look back. Could it be as a result of the night she spent outside the home unsupervised? These children get to try out all sorts of things when they get that opportunity, because for them, sleepovers is like an opportunity to do all those things that the parents don't want them to do. Because the truth is, the parents leave them on their own. They are in the room or wherever it is they're going to spend the night. And believe me, they don't even get to spend this night. They stay awake all night and they come back looking tired, and probably, unfortunately, if the following day is meant to be school day, forget that day. That day is gone. They'll be useless the rest of the day. Now, so the question is, do we really need to send our children for sleepovers? If the disadvantage outweighs the advantage, then I think we as parents need to have a rethink. Yes, there are times where our children come to us and complain, "Mommy, my friends are going, why can't I go?" I think at that point, we need to make that tough decision for our children, because the truth about the matter is our children are too young, too fragile to make certain decisions for themselves. Because the truth is, if my child is exposed to a sexual predator or my child is sexually harassed, the deed is already done. We shouldn't, because sometimes we parents don't even see the red flag. When we send them to sleepovers, we don't even see what is going on before we can even stop it. It's usually too late. They have gone for the sleepovers and they have come back. And then we can't do anything. We can't correct the mistake that has already been made. So why bother to do it in the first place? So that's the question I want to ask us parents. Do we really need to send our children for sleepovers? Before we agree to send our children to sleepovers, we need to ask ourselves these questions. That's the truth. And the other children who are coming, do I know them? Can I guarantee that my child will be safe in that house before we jump into agreeing to sending our child to sleepover? That's to say, sleepover may not be bad because of course it has its advantages. But let's think about its disadvantages and be sure that our child is safe before we take that bold step. The point I'm trying to make here is, if we are not comfortable with it, we shouldn't bow to pressure. Don't expose your child to unnecessary danger. Thank you. If you have any contributions or questions on this topic, go to the comment section. If you are yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do that and click on the bell button for notifications. Thank you.